This is a follow-up to my last video that I just posted or is posting right now. This Andrea Durbin, who she heads up the Illinois collaboration on youth. This is tied to DCFS state wards. It's also, it's all, you have to see my other video. So I wanted to go a little bit further into her, but just, I'm going to repeat this, Durbin. And I don't know anything about her personally, couldn't find anything, but I'm sure she's tied to Dick Durbin. I just be my guess, though. Durbin previously served as the Illinois Collaboration on Youth Policy and Advocacy Director. She also worked for 7 years in education, including 2 years as MPA Director of Admission and for 8 years as Aunt Martha's Youth Service Center, where she designed and developed programs for high-risk youth and health services for medically undeserved communities. Durbin has a master's degree in social work administration from the University of Chicago and a bachelor's degree in journalism. That's a little strange, isn't it? She has a bachelor's in journalism because, see, when you go on the site for Illinois Collaboration of Youth, this is from their site, okay? She's written several articles, but she titles them Andi, A-N-D-I, Durbin. But yet under the profile here, and then the articles she writes are on this site, but then, so she's a journalist and a social worker, and yet under this site, she's the CEO of the Illinois Collaboration on Youth, but she's Andrea Durbin. So she's filling both roles, the perception to the public of everything with her articles, and yet also is in this whole system too. So this is from their site. We act as a collective voice. I'm so sick of the word collective. Voice for Illinois child welfare, youth service, and juvenile justice providers to ensure they have the resources they need to help young people from all backgrounds succeed. So the thing is that none of this is any good. There's two reasons for this. It's because of what this organization supports. Not to mention the fact that, again, they only are putting people in these positions. It's like they've cornered the market, so to speak, on children that are state wards. And we don't know anything about the juvenile courts. There should be no juvenile courts so that we have transparency. Children should be at the same courts that adults are. I'm not saying they should all be tried as adults, but there doesn't need to be a separate juvenile justice. You only do this because the state and the federal are hiding what is going on at those courts, and they've been hiding for decades what has been going on in this child welfare system. See, she also goes by Andi Durbin Odom, Chief Executive Officer at Illinois Collaboration on Youth. And again, she's a social worker and a journalist. Well, in my opinion, she's not really a good social worker because she supports DEI. So does the Illinois Collaboration on Youth. So they support that racist agenda, which is racist. Most people know that now. And she also supports this. It's obviously cut off. As providers, we must be attuned to the unique needs of LGBTQ plus youth and youth from other marginalized populations who are especially vulnerable. On a policy level, we must seek to remove the economic and social barriers that contribute to poor mental health. No, we need to remove people like her. We need to remove the politicians and all of the politicians that set the legislation in place and everything they do to hide these kids from the public knowing what's going on. All of this needs to be exposed in every way, and these people need to be removed. They shouldn't have anything to do with policy or anything to do with children. Young people are screaming at us to make change. No, they will lie, they lie, they lie. Yeah, the children in that system know that they don't get the care that they need. But what really makes her a poor social worker is that she supports LGBTQ on youth. Again, She must missed that class when she was in social work school or getting her degree on how the frontal lobe is not formed until the mid 20s. And it's why I keep saying it, because it just needs to keep being repeated. It's why we don't let youth drink until they're 21, because their impulsive actions oftentimes are, it's because they have impulsive actions because their frontal lobe is not formed yet. It's a science that's known. Apparently, Andrea Durbin didn't learn that science. So in my opinion, anybody supporting LGBTQ on youth, that's what I'm talking, that I have a problem with. What adults want to do is what adults want to do. But being a social worker that supports that on youth, then you're not a good social worker. Or are you even? Who knows who these people are? I mean, who goes to school for journalism and then social work? I'm not saying it's unheard of. It just seems rather convenient. And here's a little bit more about her. Like I said, I think she has kids, but nothing about her like extended family or even her husband. But yeah, Andy Durbin Odom's work. So sometimes she goes under Odom's last name and sometimes just Durbin. But yeah, she was an adjunct professor at DePaul University, Pay Now Illinois Coalition, and University of Chicago Master of Arts, and Northwestern University journalism. So all the people that they have that are at any positions directly tied to the DCFS system, which will be tied to the juvenile justice, all the people that they just shouldn't be there. They're just, even if they're not bad people, I'm not trying to say they're bad, if they're just at these levels, they're there to make sure that nothing is disclosed while they write a bunch of papers telling you how much they're doing for the system. No, there's been more. I think I just read with this whole DCFS change with the new director, that there's been more deaths or crisis in DCFS in the past year than most of their history. So it's not a system that gets better. They continue to say, and Chicago Trib and their watchdog group, that's not a watchdog, it's just another arm of the establishment to do the bidding for these people. I had an encounter with Chicago Tribune and that whole thing that happened 12 years ago, so that's why I say it. But they will act like that what they end up disclosing or showing you is because they're deflecting from something else. Yeah. The Dua was the reporter back in 12 years ago. Dua Dweeb or something like that. It doesn't matter. You can find her on Twitter. She posts all this crap about how much she cares about. She's trying to expose the DCFS program. Yeah, why didn't she put my story out there? Because she called me. Because I would be, and again, this was designed because I was making a lot of noise saying that there should be advocacy for that kid after I found that out. So I was emailing aldermen, I was emailing politicians, I was calling different organizations, advocacy groups, to let them know what happened to this kid. And then all of a sudden, my old chief nursing officer calls and says, there's going to be a reporter calling you from Chicago Tribune. I'm like, how do you know a reporter? Oh, it's a friend of a friend. Well, how convenient. Because then I thought something would be done, so it kind of silenced me. Because then okay, well, at least this. And I talked to this Dua from Chicago Tribune, part of the watchdog group. She's not there anymore. For 30 minutes, told her everything that went down. Then when the paper came out in 2014, when Chicago Tribune ran all of their article, a 7-day spread front page of all the DCFS crises, not in one of those days was my story even written about or even mentioned. So it was designed to keep me from contacting people, because by letting me think that it was going to be in the news, I figured, okay, at least it'll get exposed. Yeah, it never did. And part of the Illinois Collaboration Youth Group, yes, you can see they have DEI going on. So that tells me the organization is no good, because DEI is directly tied to Marxism and it's tied to racism. They're just racist people. That's why they're pushing it. And it's designed to hurt America. But again, when you have people like this, Bill Ayers, that have been in charge of children for many years, and others that if controlled it, then you'll get garbage.